This is obviously a very old truck. It's a 1915 Mack AB. And you may be wondering to yourself, what does Prague to Pebble Beach driving a Tatra across the country have to do with this Mack? Well, think about it. Tatra is in fact a truck company. It is the third oldest company that builds cars and trucks in the world. And we are outside of the world's largest truck stop, and we ran into this incredible truck museum. So having a car that is in essence manufactured by a truck manufacturer, we thought let's share with you a little bit of American trucks, and Nathan will take you through this incredibly cool and fun museum.
Just like our Tatra, this truck here, which is a 1968 Peterbilt, comes from the late 60s. Significantly different vehicle. Now this guy here is interesting because it started life as a regular truck doing deliveries, but eventually it wound up in a field. Now somebody came by, saw it in a field, brought it home, resurrected it, made it beautiful, and started taking it to truck shows. Then it got hit in a car accident and was splattered. And they brought it back once again, and here it is over at the museum. That's pretty cool. I mean, it's had a couple chances at life. Now check this out. This is something that I did not expect to see. This is a 1926 BT front wheel drive. If you look in the back, you can see there's a special screw auger to go into the ground and tear it up and put poles where it once was. Now normally it takes 8 to 10 men all day long to do 7 or 8, right? Well, in this case, you could do 25 to 35 in a day with only a couple people manning it. And yes, indeed, it is front wheel drive. And it was built specifically so it could be easy to use. This whole area here is dedicated to digging into the ground, while the front end is frankly a very simple front wheel drive layout. I remember seeing pictures of these, but I've never seen one of these in person. It's pretty cool. This is a very interesting truck, and let me tell you why. It's a 1958 Kenworth Bullnose. If you look at the configuration, these were popular, obviously in the late 50s, early 60s, but what's interesting about this truck is that it has over 5.2 million miles on it, and that's just when the owner, and his name is Ray Ohanessian, stopped counting, so it could have a lot more on it. This truck has gone through a lot of changes, different engine, different transmission, and even a different wheelbase. So altogether, it's a very unique truck, and having over 5.2 million miles on it is pretty impressive. Keep in mind, a lot of truck drivers put a lot of miles on their vehicles, and because of that, they usually keep a lot of paperwork, and as such, they can usually prove how far they've driven. So that's pretty damn impressive. So this is something that really caught our attention when we came in here, because we're Coloradans and we're used to snow, and that is, this is based on a Model A platform, which also works for the A truck for Ford. And if you look real carefully, you can see treads and a ski. That's right, this is built for snow and built for delivering the mail. And it was one of the earliest versions of this type of vehicle. Now, if you're wondering about the rear axles, only one of them is active. The other one is there just to support the treads, and of course the skis, which basically were bolted onto the rims. Just that simple. They had mechanical brakes, by the way, so it could stop the rear wheels. Very simple truck, but look how beautifully it's restored. It looks awesome. Now come over here, I got something really interesting to show you. It's a 1922 Packard EX. Now what's really cool about this is a lot of people don't know Packard built trucks for a little while, and this one, well, this is one of the first vehicles to actually go across the United States for deliveries. What's cool about this? Check it out. Back there, see the bed, the dump? Yeah, it's gravity. It's based on gravity. That's how it works. No major springs, no hydraulics, nothing like that at all. So it has, as you can see, a rocker over there, and that rocker, when you pull it back, helps it tilt back. So it's a pretty cool truck. And what's really interesting is that this vehicle was one of the last ones they built, and they stopped in 1922 because they were building cars. But they were first a truck company before they were a car company. Now, we tend to complain about how primitive vehicles like the Tatra are, and then you see something like this. This is a 1910 Avery, and it's known as a solid rubber truck because, well, normally these wheels would have solid rubber on them, which back then was the norm. But here's the cool part. This is built specifically to run in the fields. As such, it has these little wooden pegs going all throughout the wheel, and when one of them broke, you pop it out and put another one in. So this is basically the first knobby. So for those of you who think you're really hardcore driving your trucks with 33s on them, look at this. And it is offset, and on top of that, there are more in the rear wheel and the front wheel. This is chain drive. It has a 1-inch thick chain that goes to the sprocket on the right side of the vehicle, and as you can tell, this is right-hand drive. And there are a lot of theories as to why it is, but we don't know for sure. If you have a theory, actually go ahead and fill it out and pop it in either on our website, TFL4K.com, or do it on this page. It's pretty interesting stuff. Oh, by the way, this thing, just the frame alone weighs over 5,000 pounds. For those of you who think that electric vehicles is something new, it's really not. I'm sure a lot of you have heard about electric cars that came back from the early 1900s, but guess what? Trucks too. And this one, actually kind of interesting. Now, this particular one is a 1911 Walter Electric Model 43. It was built from 1906 all the way to 1942. Now think about that for a minute. This model was built for that period of time, that much time. I don't know of any other vehicle that had that type of run for production. Now this one could hold up to 6,000 pounds, and it had a fully charged range of up to 50 miles, 50. Very impressive. And then you add all that to the fact that, well, it's probably impossible to knock over, and it's very, very quiet. So a perfect vehicle to go to hospitals and to restaurants and whatnot, which is where this vehicle went to deliver milk. That is a refrigerated back holding area. Isn't that cool? I mean, okay, yeah, I know it's electric. Oh, by the way, 3.5 horsepower. Now, it doesn't show how much torque this thing has, but I'm thinking it's ridiculous in order to get this much weight moving. Top speed was 15 miles per hour, 1.5. So, yeah, it's pretty cool though.
Nathan, Tatra and trucks go together like peanut butter and jelly.
Indeed they do. And you know what? We found a jewel off the highway. It's amazing what you can find.
The world's largest truck stop and a way cool truck museum.